Hello everyone, in this video we'll see how to handle the errors using different fault handlers in OIC. Now in our last video we created this particular integration to call the BIP report and then write the report output file into a SFTP location. So we'll use this integration to add the fault handlers into it. Now there are two types of fault handler in OIC. Those are scope fault handler and global fault handler. So we'll start with scope fault handler. So scope fault handler is used to handle the errors within a particular section in OIC. Now in this integration, first we are calling the BIP report and then we are decoding the base64 encoded report using the OPAC schema. Now if we get any error while we call the report or decode the report, then we want to handle that error and send the notification of the error. So for that I will add a scope for this particular section. So before the call BIP report, I will click on the plus icon and search with scope. Now within this scope, you can add the actions for which you want to handle the error. So I'll select these four actions and click on the cut icon and paste it within the scope. Now I'll hover the right corner of the scope and click on this three dot and click on the fault handler. Here you can see we are having different type of handler. The first three handlers are related to the our soap Wisdale, but I will add the default fault handler here. And you can see default handler is added. Now if we get any error in any of these actions, then the flow will come to this fault handler and fault handler will handle that error and send the notification that will contain the error details. So for that I will add a notification here. So I'll search with notification and then I'll provide the to and from email. Then in the subject I'll write BI report extract error in int013 and in the body I'll provide all the error details. So for that I will add different parameters that will contain the error code, error region and error details. So first of all I'll add a parameter error code which is p underscore error code, and under the input sources I'll go to scope fault object. Then under the fault I'll get the error code, region and details. So I'll drag the error code here. Then I'll add one more parameter which is p underscore error region, and here I'll drag the region. Then I'll add one more parameter which is p error details, and under the scope fault object I'll get the details that I'll drag here. Now in the body I'll provide error code, region and details, and I'll write hi, please find the below error details. First error code, where under the curly braces I'll write the parameter p error code. In the same way I'll provide error region and error details. And lastly I'll write regards OIC team. Now I'll save this. So here I can see one error is there. So error is in the write BIP to FTP map, and if I open the map, so here we are getting the file reference and file name from the write stage BIP response, which is within the scope, but we cannot use any object of any actions of the scope outside of that scope. So that is why we are getting the error. So to resolve this error, I'll add one assign activity after the request, and in that assign I'll create one variable, and in that variable I'll store the file reference. So I'll put the variable name as v underscore file reference and keep it blank. And after the write stage BIP, I'll add the assign action again. And now I'll use this variable, and from the write stage VIP, I'll get the file reference and put that into the variable. Now to use the file reference, I can use that particular variable outside the scope. So I'll open this map, and now I'll clear the file reference, and I'll drag the variable v file reference here and save this. And for the file name, I'll provide the hard-coded value here, which is supplier details, and save this. Now I'll activate and run this integration to check the scope is working properly or not. So I'll activate. Now I'll run this. Now here I'll pass some invalid value of report format or business unit so that we'll get some error in BI report calling, and scope will handle that error and send the notification. So I'll provide US1 business, which is a wrong business unit. Now I'll run. So you can see that the integration is completed successfully, and if you go down, we can see under invoke call BIP report we are getting some error, and the fault handler is handling that error. And after the fault handling that error, the notification is sent and the execution continues. So it will exit from the scope and it will go to the invoke write BIP to FTP action. And if you go to WinSCP, here you can see the file is generated. So even though we are getting the error in BI report calling, the scope fault handler is handling that error, and then after the scope, the rest of the operation is executed as it is. So if you open the file, you can see no data is there in that particular report. And now we'll check the email for the error details. So you can see we are getting this email BI report extract error in INTG013, and this is the error code, and then we have the error reason. Here you can see the reason is invalid parameters requested because we have passed the invalid business unit name, and in the error details you can find all the details. Now we'll see the global fault handler. So for that I will deactivate and edit the integration. So global fault handlers is used to handle the errors for the actions which are outside the scope. So here you can see write BIP to FTP. These are not within any scope. So if we get any error in writing the report to the SFTP, then global fault handler will handle that error. So to use the global fault handler, we have to go to this right corner, and here you can see one triangular icon. You have to click on that icon to view the global fault handler. So you can see here global fault is already there and rethrow fault is there. So that means after we handle the error and send the notification, if we want to throw the fault again, then we can use this rethrow fault action. So now after the global fault, I will add the notification action. I'll search with notification. And similar to scope fault handler notification, I will add all the details here as well. In the subject, I'll provide error in INTG013 integration. And in the body, I'll provide the error code, error reason, and error details, which is same as scope fault handler notification. So for that, we have to add the three parameters again, and then we can add that in the body. So I have provided all the details in the body. Now I'll save. Now I'll activate and run the integration. Now I'll run it. So now we want that the global fault handler should handle some error. So we have to create some error while we write the report file into the SFTP. So I'll go to WinSCP and I'll click on the folder where we want to write our report, and I'll choose the properties. So here I'll remove all the write permission. So I'll uncheck all the write boxes and I'll click on OK. So now if we run the integration, the report output file will not be written into this particular folder because here we remove the write permission. So that will be an error, and the global fault handler will handle that error. And please note that before changing the permission of this folder, you have to delete all these files from the folder. Now I'll go to integration and run this integration with the correct business unit. So here you can see fault rethrown successfully by rethrow fault, and if you go down you can see we are getting the error invoke write BIP to FTP, and global fault handler is handling that error and then it is rethrowing the fault. Now we'll check the email. Here you can see we got the email from the global fault handler as error in intg013 integration, and this is the error code. And then we can see the error reason as error sending file to FTP server, and you can find the error details as well. So this is how we can use the fault handlers in OIC to handle the errors. Now if you like this video, please hit the like button. Share this video within your circle. If you have any doubts or any suggestion, put that in the comment section and do subscribe our channel. Thank you.